Okay. Well, apparently, Ethan was somewhat more, what would be the right word? Perturbed? I don't know. Than I first thought, because I saw earlier in the day that his comments came in. And I was like, oh, I'm very surprised to see him commenting on one of my videos. Very surprised that he saw my video. Still wonder exactly how he came across it. Was it just like the algorithm I offered it to him, or one of my viewers sent it to him, or what? I don't know. But apparently he went ahead and did an entire, well, I mean, not the entire thing, obviously focused on my video, but kind of instigated by, I suppose, my video. It did an entire fucking live stream about, I mean, like most of his live streams is a bunch of just, random stuff. But it does, it does come up. I should definitely do this.
Here we are. It looks good. I respect the artist. I think that anybody who... a good fight sequence here. It's just good, man.
That's a 9-panel grid, and not enough people
talking
use
about how great Dame
well.
Gang
and
is.
Especially a 9-panel grid in the boxing sequence. That was pretty good.
Yeah, good. Just really, really good. So I look at this,
and again, I have said as a disclaimer, I'm not qualified to judge the art in any sort of professional capacity. It's like I don't know art. All I can tell you is whether I like it or not, and if I don't like it, what don't I like, and why? And I said what I said about this. I mean, like I said, this is largely it's just stylized or whatever in a way that I'm not super thrilled about. But that's a personal thing. No, I did make mention of the anatomy being a little bit proportions wrong there. The foot way too small. I suppose that may be just stylization as well. I mean, it certainly would appear to be here, but I don't know. The poster, it seemed like it was rather more obvious because it wasn't like some kind of action scene or whatever. But anyway, but Ethan, Shane offering commentary that I am not qualified to make. That I don't. It's like they know shit like that. Talking about how many panels there are, or whatever. It's like I don't know any of that shit. So I can't comment on that.
Published by Image. I can see this being published by DC Comics, except for the part about the big booties and the big boobies. But the artwork, the guy's good enough to work for Marvel or DC, honestly. So
yeah,
I
think
told
the
people
subject
about it, and I
matter
thought I was
probably
doing a good deed for the day, but I was not doing a good deed, as it turns out. I wasn't. People are mad at me about it.
What?
I'm assuming that he is playing that up to a certain extent for for the purpose of his stream. But just in case, it's like, don't know if it sounded that way or not, but I'm not really mad about it. I at least, I can't speak for everybody else, but I at least am not overly, bothered one way or the other. It's like, it is what it is. I said what I said based on what I was observing, and that doesn't mean that I'm always going to be correct, but, I say it the way that I see it, and anyway.
Why?
I'll tell you why. Because it doesn't matter. I could promote one book. I could promote 1,000 books. I'm not promoting everyone's book. So that is the problem. But there might be some books that I have not seen. There might be some campaigns that I have not seen.
Well, there's certainly some campaigns that I haven't seen. And as I said, not an enviable position for him to be in. And I understand that, he went through this shit with War Campaign, with them bitching about how, I'm pretty sure at least, as I recall, they were bitching a lot about how he wasn't giving enough airtime or whatever, and Winger did the same thing, about how, why aren't you shilling absolutely everything, and it's like, well, he can't shill everything, and as he's already said, he won't shill anything that he considers to be crap. And, I'm not going to shill anything particularly. I'm just going to, in my ComicsGate videos that I'm making, all I'm doing is just taking a look at the campaigns and offering my commentary, which may include I'm probably not going to back this, or it may include I'm definitely going to back this because I really like it, or I already backed this because it's so awesome. So like I said, all I can do is just offer my genuine opinion on things.
I watched this video. This is called Hard Work versus EVS Shout-Out. I love the premise of this video. Hold on a second. So this
and at this time, apparently it only had it had 6 upvotes, right? 6 and 4 down, and now, well, maybe not now, but as of when I recorded the previous video, it had, or at least when I loaded this page, it had 5 likes and 9 dislikes. So I guess the strength of EVS's opinion also influenced somebody to decide they didn't like it after all, as well as influencing other people to downvote the video. Now, like it or not, Ethan, you have influence. You know, it doesn't have to be something you're trying to do, but it's something that's happening. Oh, look, there's another one of my videos suggested. I'm glad the algorithm is is doing something for me sometimes. Anyway,
this guy's mad that I promoted Dame Gang.
See, mad, but I'm not. You see, I'm not mad. I'm not mad, Ethan. It doesn't matter to me, really. In all honesty, all frankness, it really just doesn't matter to me. If you promote it, then you promote it, and if you don't, you don't. I was merely making an observation, as I said, about the effect of you promoting it versus you not promoting it. It's like, here's a campaign that was languishing, and then you promoted it, and boom, it explodes. And there was another campaign that you didn't promote, and they worked really hard, and they were doing as much promotion as they could on smaller channels, and they had, Shane or Art or whoever, I think, made a reference to, at some point here about personal opinion, and it's like, yeah, it is my personal opinion. So I don't dislike the Dame Gang thing. Like I said, there's a couple of things in there that I'm kind of, I don't really like that, but it's like, I didn't dislike it. Like, I didn't actually hate it or anything. So, if it had a nice and expensive digital tier or whatever, then I might have gone for that. Maybe, but I don't know. Although some of the points made on the forums about how it looks like it's another weird fetish book, it's like, it kind of does. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to read the whole thing before I could, give my opinion on whether I'm sure that, oh yeah, this is a weird fetish book. But the Kiwis do seem to believe that anyway, or however you're supposed to refer to them. But the other one, it's like I definitely like the Black Tiger. I like that. I like the art. I like the property. I like, it's like I'm much more interested in it. Let's just put it that way. And, perhaps, like I said, it's like, I guess that makes me biased to a certain extent about what I believe, should be performing better, based on the merits of the artwork and the work they put into it and whatnot. But as I said in the previous video, Ethan made a fair point. It's like they, Billy Nunez, is that the guy's name? The Dame Gang people made a good marketing move. They did, apparently, an excellent Cyberfrog drawing, sent it to Ethan, got his, got him interested in them, and thus in their campaign, and then he pulled up their campaign, liked what he saw there, and endorsed it, and that got them from just a handful of backers and a few $100s or whatever it was, shot up to, quite a successful place. And, to a certain extent, probably him taking issue with me pointing out the relative effects of an endorsement versus not an endorsement, is probably getting them even more support. They're probably to spite me because I'm some asshole who really hates this artwork or hates EVS endorsing it or whatever, which I like I said, I don't. I'm not hating on either point. So anyway, but it's probably making them more money, and I guess I'm gonna have to worry now about the. I'm gonna have to worry now that the Black Tiger people are gonna be like, why the hell couldn't you hate on us and get us some spite backing?
Let's see what he has to say.
God, this has got it's got a month and a half left on it or better. Ethan's stamp of approval or whatever got them most of their backers and most of their money.
You're welcome. That is true. Phil, this guy only had like $500 or $600.
I remember.
And then I said, hey, I like this book. And then, what happened? Like, people...
You know what that's called, Ethan? It's called the Midas touch.
No, it isn't. It isn't called the Midas touch. Did Ed Sullivan have the Midas touch? When he... all right, so Elvis Presley, an amazing talent.
So Ethan is really trying to both take credit for it and suggest that no, they earned it with the the merit of their campaign. Well, I never said it it was a shitty campaign or nothing. I like I said, I like some of it. But anyway, he's really trying to both take credit and not take credit.
An incredible talent. But had he never left, his home, had he never left his sharecropper's farm, had he never appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show, would the world know about Elvis Presley? Would he be the superstar icon that he is today? Had he not ventured onto other people's platforms to show how good he was? That is the question. I see myself.
Well, Elvis was so good. Elvis was so good. He never even toured Europe. I don't think he ever actually left the United States, right?
He wouldn't do it because the reason why he couldn't do it because of his stupid manager.
Right.
Didn't have I don't know what it was. He had some sort of.
Well, going to Europe's not always all it's cracked up to be. I mean, look what happened to Louise Brooks. But as I've mentioned in the past, it's like there you go, Ethan the showman. This is why we all fall for whatever he's trying to sell us.
Sort of problem. Anyway, some government problem. So all right, so yeah, it's true. I promoted this book because I thought it was good, and then it got attention. But
To be clear, I'm not actually making an accusation of it's all crap that he's selling us. It's like no, he's selling us good stuff. It's just I do take issue sometimes with the prices of the good stuff, but I understand the economic realities of the independent scene.
Yes. All right, let me listen to the rest of this.
These people earned their shit. So that's the difference. It's like apparently a good word from Ethan can get you farther than doing fuck near everything correctly.
Well,
okay, admittedly I sound a little bit pissy there, don't I? I don't think that I realized how pissy I sounded when I said that. But anyway, the basic observation, perhaps my presentation is not quite what it should have been, but the basic observation, of course, that that Ethan, his endorsement means a lot. It's like, it's that point still stands.
Black Tiger, the great campaign by John Hurley, an awesome CG'er. I mean, he's been on a bunch of shows and he's putting in the work as well. I don't know what comparison is here.
I don't think I ever promoted Black Tiger. I don't think I ever did.
Great book, Rod Looper, awesome artist. Yeah, they're on all kinds of CG shows.
It sounds racist, though.
Oh, they're okay.
It's a kung fu book. Kung fu.
It might be cultural appropriation, and you guys know how sensitive I am to all of that. So
But I saw Dame Gang like a couple days before you shouted it out, and CG promoters on Twitter were talking about it and stuff. Those guys are on top of things.
All right, let me
So,
see here.
do you just feel bad now, Ethan? Like, I mean,
No, I'm like a little headachy and resentful. I don't know what it is. Let me see the rest of this.
I would have gone with, I mean, even if you kept the price tag, I would have gone with an actual digital copy instead of being like reader access. And this one, it's offering a PDF download of part of it, but just to see if you like it, but it doesn't actually offer a PDF.
This I agree with. Like, he's going off and he's saying stuff like, ComicsGaters don't add digital to their campaigns because Ethan doesn't. And if that's true, let me just quickly say, fucking sell a digital version of your book. I'm not doing it for a reason, but I would recommend that anybody who is like, in the 4 figures zone of their campaign, possibly breaking into 5 figures, I recommend that you sell digital. You just get.
Well, as I said, I'm glad to see him giving that endorsement to the idea of doing digital. Maybe it will change the CG landscape. Certainly, my bitching about it doesn't change shit. Although, I suppose you could always say that just like these people getting his attention, it's like because I wound up getting Ethan's attention, maybe my bitching about the lack of digital tiers will in fact wind up through Ethan having an effect on the CG landscape. But as I said before, he did on a live stream, and I don't know how long ago it was, a year ago, 2 years ago, I can't fucking remember. But at some point, he was on a live stream, and he did say, and I'm pretty sure he said specifically, don't do this. But, like I said, to be fair, he may have only been addressing the people that were streaming with him, which may have only been people like John Malin or whoever, other, pros who, I still don't think that their property is probably popular enough to warrant being concerned over piracy, but they'd certainly come a lot closer to being, like Ethan, potentially at risk of actual piracy. But it's like all these small campaigns and whatnot, which includes basically most of CG. The vast majority of all the campaigns are going to be so small, so niche, or whatever that nobody's going to pirate it. Like, don't be worried about that, guys. Don't.
Your story in front of people. I'm not going to do it because Cyberpunk is different.
And as Nasser and I believe other people have pointed out, it's like because you're not having to pay to have the copy printed, selling people a PDF is just getting you extra money. It's helping to boost your overall campaign.
Like, for all those people crying about piracy right now, it's like, well, yeah, all your books are digital already. It's like they're digital. It's pretty easy. Anybody who wants to pirate Cyberpunk is going to have to scan each page and make file. Look, if you're going to do that, you're going to do that. But I'm certainly not going to help you. I'm not going to hold your hand while you steal my work.
Yeah, don't make.
Well, he has a point, I suppose. He has a certain degree of built-in security there. It is, of course, not totally secure. It's a question of demand, I think. It's like I'm pretty sure that there was some book, I don't remember what it was. It came out in like the 70s, and I know that it was available. let's put it like that. I know it was available on pirate websites. And I think a lot of people were probably pleased that it was because it was out of print. Like, you couldn't fucking buy it anymore. Hadn't been able to buy it for probably a couple of decades or something. And, but piracy allowed those people who were pirating it to still have a copy. Even if they had a print copy, there's just like, yeah, bought it back in the 70s and it's wearing out. It's like, can't read it too many fucking times, it's fall apart on me. Anyway, but there are things like that somebody got a hold of a physical copy and they scanned it in. They scanned each page in order to get that PDF of that book, or actually several books, I believe. And although I haven't, I haven't done any kind of exhaustive search or anything to see if Cyberfrog is available on pirate sites. I'm a little surprised that that there hasn't been like a Bounding into Comics article or something talking about how, oh look, Cyberfrog is on the Pirate Bay. I'm a little bit surprised that hadn't happened yet, because I've like I said, somebody sooner or later surely would do that. Now maybe they won't right now. Maybe it would take it being sometime in the future, and Ethan has stopped making new copies available through any outlet or whatever, and it's like, oh well, the only fucking way you can get it is if you pay out the ass on eBay for something, for one of the original copies that's still floating around, and somebody's like, oh yeah, I'll sell it to you for like 500 fucking bucks. It's like, shit, but like I said, it is actually a little bit surprising that some enterprising pirate out there hasn't already invested, $35, $35 per issue to get a hold of his new Cyberfrog shit and, fucking scan it in page by page. That's either a testament to lack of interest on the part of pirates, or the loyalty of his customers, or I don't know, maybe just that people don't want to risk damaging their copy in order to make a pirate version, or of course, there's all the look. This doesn't apply to me because I've never. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm keeping my copy of Cyberfrog, each one that I get. I'm keeping it, in as good a condition as I can, keep it in without going overboard with trying to, maintain a specific environment for it or some shit. But which is one of the reasons why I want the digital, because that's why I always like to. It's like if I really want the physical, it's because I actually do want to have it and hopefully have it for a long time. But that's why I would want the digital as well, because it's like I can read that. I can read that 1,000,000 times. It doesn't matter. It's never gonna fucking fall apart on me. But anyway, fuck. What was I saying? But shit. But the thing, the thing about the, god damn it, it's too late. It's too late. It's almost 2:00. My brain's turning off.
Easy on them. And some of the CGers early on did digital. I think Miller did, and I think Nasser did. There were a few people.
I think
Nasser's still doing.
Creators do, just like you're saying, Ethan, to get their stuff out in front of people.
Actually, Smiller still is. As a matter of fact, that was the tier that I thought about. I didn't actually go for it. Some point in the future, I'll try. Probably. Mike had like a $50 tier, pardon me, or something like that. That was. Well, it was supposed to be his entire digital library of all his books that he did, that he's done since he started Blacklist Universe or whatever it's called. But it wasn't actually all of them. He was running 2 campaigns simultaneously, and the digital version of each one of those books was exclusive to whichever campaign. And it's like, damn it. It's like, I don't want to pay extra to get, it's like, okay, I'll pay extra for the new of one of them, and then, and then get the digital library tier or whatever, so that I get the new book and I get all of the previous books. But you got 2 going simultaneously, and it's like I'd have to go and back. As I was like, no, you know what? I'm gonna wait until you've only got like 1 campaign going at a time, and you're offering all of the digitals, all of them, at one time, and then I go for that at some point in the future. Of course, right now it's like I've spent way the fuck too much money on fucking comic books and shit. and god damn it, I've got, there's big purchases yet to make, mostly from Ethan, because it's like he's got the Rainbow Brute thing, which, I'm not sure which tier to get on that. I mean, I don't know. There are times when I think about the previous campaign or whatever, and I think, and should I have gotten that fucking collector's box for $200? It's damned expensive, but then again, it's like you get everything. and I probably wound up spending a similar amount of money on different things over the course of the campaign because he kept adding shit, and it's like, oh, all right. Anyway, so, and it's going to be at least $200. Actually, it's going to be over $200 with the shipping. It's going to be well in excess of $200 to get his toys. When he launches his toy campaign next month, it's going to be... And I hope that one at least he's gonna keep it going for a while, maybe keep it in demand, and not limit it, not be like, oh well, you have to be one of the 5,000 people or whatever. The way he talks, I think it's a better price for him the more orders that he gets. So hopefully he's gonna be like, no limits. You can buy as many as you fucking want. It's like you get please place multiple orders. Place it, it's like, as long as he does that, it's like then I can maybe wait a while until I've managed to save some more money, or rather, pay some more debt, and so that I can stay in debt. Yeah. Well, it's the American dream, right? Well, it's the American reality, not the American dream. But you know what I'm saying.
And I think a lot of people have the mindset where if it's going to be pirated, then if someone downloads it and they like it, more than likely they'll check out your next project,
And that is actually a point. It's like some people do that, I think one of them, is it Ethan or somebody here, makes the point, which is also a point I believe I've made, is that most people who pirate shit, they were never going to buy it. They were never a potential customer. They're only going to take it because it's free. But there are people who will, pirate something, and then they'll be like, man, I would never have bought this just in case it was cool, but now that I've seen it, it's fucking cool. I want a better copy. I want a physical copy. I want, a higher quality copy, whatever, and then they'll actually go out and buy it.
I think anybody who's going to steal the content
here we go.
was never going to buy it in the first place, and I don't think they should be catered to. But
both are true, Ethan. Both statements are true. You're right. Most people, not all, most people who are going to pirate your shit, they were never going to be a potential customer. Never. And whether or not you cater to them or whatever, it's like that. I mean, that's entirely up to you. That's you can consider it catering to them or not. To produce a digital copy. I think probably most people don't consider that they're catering to pirates by producing a PDF and giving that to their backers, or selling that to their back, whatever. But what the hell is his name down there? I can't remember his name. Fuck. Anyway, but the guy on the bottom, what he said is also true. It's like probably it's nowhere near the majority. It's probably not even a hugely significant percentage, but there's definitely going to be some people who are going to, because it's free, they'll just grab it, along with whatever else they're grabbing. It's like, for free take. But then once they see it, if they're interested enough, then they may decide that they actually do want, a purchased version. I've said this about the Rift Tracks guys. It's like Rift Tracks, they offer their shit for sale on the internet. It's a download from their website. There's no DRM on it, and they know that they have huge amounts of piracy. They know that tons of people get their shit off pirate websites, and so they include in every single fucking thing at the end, they include some talk about how, hey, if you got this someplace other than our site, go on over to rifttracks.com/donate and make it right. So it's like, so I think they understand that some people get introduced to them through piracy. And so it actually, I'm not going to say it's definitely to their advantage, but I think that they've made the calculation that, they're not really losing money. They might, in fact, be picking up some extra customers along the way, but they're not really losing any sales that they otherwise would have had, which I think that's kind of the primary point about piracy. It's like, you're not really losing. I mean, everybody likes to bitch that, we're losing sales. It's like they would have bought it if they hadn't stolen it. It's like, no, they probably wouldn't have. I mean, I can't say for sure, but probably they wouldn't have. So you know, but they're probably, you know, like I said, the guy on the bottom, he's right. There's going to be some. I don't know how many. I don't know what kind of percentage it'd be, but there's surely going to be some people. Just as a logical deduction, there's going to be some people that are going to see your shit and go, "Holy fuck, that's awesome! I'm going to go and buy that."
But on the other hand, like most of these books, it's like, you know, these are super small independent comics. Like, they're not Spider-Man. Nobody is going to steal them. Go ahead and make it possible for people to read them for $5-10.
And that is the point that I made.
So, you know, maybe if they like it a whole lot, they're going to come back and buy the physical copy. I'm not into that. I'm not here to make comics. I'm here to make comic books. That's the whole thing. Like, I decided I want to make beautiful looking comic books. I want to make.
Okay, so now I understand what his point was in his comment and that I read in the previous video. So what he means is comic books versus comics. He means he wants to craft a good-looking physical product. You know, he you know, that's part, I guess, of of being an artist. You know, he's considering that's an extension of the art is the package that he puts it in and whatnot. So he's kind of turning his nose up at the idea of digital because he just doesn't like it. So also that means what Amateur Anther said or whatever is kind of true. It's like, yeah, EVS doesn't like digital. He doesn't like the idea. He thinks that it's just, you know, I don't know. What I'm sure there's some phrase that the hoi polloi would use. You know, it's, you know, the closest I can get maybe is an English phrase. It's just not cricket or whatever. So that's what he's complaining about. Like, he wants to make books. He wants to make physical books, and he doesn't want to just produce great art with a great story. He doesn't want to do just that. He apparently considers that, you know, beneath him. Like, okay, I mean, of course, that's my point. It's like, so many of the people... Oh, that's what I was going to say earlier. I was talking about how there was a bunch of people in War Campaign that I believe were bitching at Ethan for making as many copies available of Cyberfrog as he was, which to me doesn't make any sense at all. It's like, wouldn't he want to make as many copies available as possible? It's like, he's not getting money when people sell it on the secondary market, when people go to eBay or whatever and they auction off their rare Cyberfrog or whatever. He doesn't get any of that money, you know. It's not his place to make sure that people who are reselling his shit get to make a huge profit. It's his place to decide how much profit he wants to make. And yeah, you can try to do more money per copy that you sell and not sell that many, but it makes more sense to just be like, well, what will the market support, which I believe is kind of the terminology that he used before when he talked about the $25 price tag on his comics. And then you sell as many as you can. And they were apparently complaining about that because they wanted him to make less of them available to the public so that they could resell. They could buy like 2 and resell 1 for a huge markup. And it's like, why is that Ethan's concern? Why should he give a flying fuck about whether or not, you know, whether or not War Campaign or anybody else for that matter was getting to make money off of his product? That doesn't make any sense. It's like, it's up to him to make money off his product, not to help other people make money off his product. So, anyway, but that was the point that I was trying to make earlier. Trump. Fuck you.
Objects, you know, beyond just telling a story. So, you know, I'm not crazy about just putting the story out there for people to read really cheap. I want to make...
And, of course, that is what I believe I have said numerous times. Now, admittedly, I do want a physical copy of Cyberfrog, but that's because it's Cyberfrog, because it's a property that I'm quite interested in, because Ethan's as good an artist as he is, etc., etc. You know, I've been over all that, but a lot of these indie comics, it's like I have 2 interests in backing the vast majority of the ones that I back. One, to be kind of the low-budget patron of the arts or whatever and help somebody make their project come to life. But 2, to read the fucking story. Most of these projects, most of these properties, I don't care about having a physical copy to collect. I'm not a comic book collector per se. I don't care about having something to resell or something to have as a fucking conversation or museum piece or some shit. I don't care about that for most of them. For some, perhaps I want a physical copy, but for the vast majority of all these campaigns, I don't want. I don't particularly want or care about a physical copy. It doesn't matter. All I'm interested in is if the story sounds interesting, then I'd like to be able to read the story, and I feel like I'm doing something to help out by contributing a few bucks or whatever to. I'm not gonna contribute a few. You can, but I'm not going to. I'm not sufficiently generous that I would take my meager dollars that I have and sprinkle them about on all the campaigns and not get anything for it. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll give $3 to this campaign and get nothing, and to this one, 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 and to this one. No, fuck that shit. I'm not going to do that. I'm not that. I'm not altruistic or whatever to such an extent. It's like I want something. But like I said, it's like you offer me a $5 digital tier, I can afford to back that. There's no shipping. All I care about is being able to read the story. That's enough for me. I don't need to collect something physical. Pardon me. And like that. Like I said, what he said what he specifically just said he doesn't want to do. Admittedly, I want to be able to do that with his shit too, but I also want to actually collect his stuff. But for virtually everybody else's stuff, I don't want to collect their physical comics. Not particularly. I mean, every once in a while I will, and I've backed probably quite a number of things because I was sufficiently interested in it that I decided, well, in the name of helping out and whatnot, and because there is no digital tier and whatnot, it's like, all right, well, I guess I can go ahead and afford to buy a physical copy. So I did. But honestly, most of them, and especially the more that I backed, the more I realize I'm spending a crap ton of money, like way more than I can really afford to. It's like, on all this shit. And it's like, I want to still help people out. I want to still help the creators, make their shit. But, it's like, I don't need something to physically collect, and I need to make my, my meager amount of money that I have to help people out, with their campaigns and whatnot. I need to spend less of that on each individual one so that I can spend it on more individual campaigns. And the best way for that to work out in my benefit and theirs is if they offer a digital tier. And then it's like, oh, $5? I can afford that. $5, no shipping. I get to read your story. I get to appreciate your art, which I can appreciate it on the screen. I don't have to have it, in my hand. I don't have to have a piece of paper with it on it. And, like I said, it's like I can, think about that, man. Think about it. Think about the average CG campaign that tries to follow Ethan's example and do a $25 book plus 10 in shipping, and they don't offer digital tier. That's $35 fucking dollars out the door. Versus if they were to offer a $5 digital tier, which would be $5 out the door. I mean, do the math. How many campaigns could you support, versus just the one? Quite a few. Quite a few there. Just saying.
I want to do what I've always done my whole career, make books.
Yeah, you want it to be an event. You want it to be something big. And also, the only time I've ever really thought about digital is just for like the foreign market, because of the shipping and things like that. So you could actually, you could make it, it's a better price point for people in Europe and places like Australia and things
Absolutely.
like that. That's the only reason I would even consider doing digital, because I agree with you, E. I think they should be event books. These should be these should be red carpet things. I mean, that's what we do at Comics.
Yeah, but not everybody is that. Like, you know.
Thank you, Ethan. Thank you. Thank God. You know, I'm glad he said that. Shit. It was hard saying that, and I'm thinking, okay, so you want everybody's fucking book to be an event? Like, how many goddamn events do you think, you know, any market could possibly support?
I think we've set people with the impression that, like, you know, newcomers, like, you know, up-and-comers, amateurs, first-timers should also look at their projects as, like, red carpet events.
Yeah.
And you don't have to look at it that way. You shouldn't be looking at it that way. You know, our
Can I just
books
add
are red.
that,
Yes.
I was
I am very glad that Ethan appears to have realized that. Yes, that is, I believe, an issue. Again, he may not have intended to get people to think that way, but I think they decided that. They decided, oh boy, we can all do it just like Ethan does, and whether, you know, it doesn't matter whether, you know, whether he specifically told them all, you know, don't do digital. Price your book at $25. Make sure it's $10 in shipping. Like, he may not have told every single person who wants to be part of CG that they should do it exactly like that, but they've all decided to follow his example of doing it that way. You know, or at least the vast majority of them. Some of them don't. Some of them offer, you know, their books at more, you know, more reasonable prices. Given that, like I said, it's a, you know, they don't have everything going for them that he has, you know, going for him, and whatnot. But anyway,
wasn't allowed to do digital on my campaign.
the fuck does that mean? Wasn't allowed.
The piracy thing, because there was another book that was actually a children's.
Wait a minute. You weren't allowed because of piracy. That doesn't make it. What is she talking about?
Graphic novel, and it got pirated, and they had a real load of trouble sorting that out, and it was a decision made very early on that mine wouldn't be digital. And
okay, she's talking about her Charlie Chaplin book, so that's a licensed property, I guess, from the Chaplin estate or something. So they decided that she couldn't do digital because they'd already allowed somebody to license it and do a digital version, and that got pirated. And I don't know what she means by get it sorted out. It's like, if once it's out there on the internet, it's out there. You know, you might as well forget about having any control over it once it's out there. But again, as I said, as I believe we all kind of covered earlier, you know, Ethan kind of said this and I kind of said this. It's like, I mean, it's not on her obviously because she's not the one making the decision there, but still, they shouldn't be overly upset about that because piracy is going to happen. But remember, the vast majority of everybody who pirates the damn thing almost certainly wouldn't have bought it. They wouldn't have paid money for it. So the idea that every time it was downloaded or uploaded or whatever the fuck, that's a lost sale is no, it's not. It's not. And everybody from ComicsGate to Hollywood needs to stop lying to themselves. And in the case of, you know, Hollywood needs to stop lying to their investors. That, oh, the reason why we're losing money is because, you know, piracy. And it's like, no.
And I wasn't very happy about it at first because, like you said, Art, about international backers. But at the same time, when I started to get the pages...
And I don't know any way to deal... I mean, Liam has said something about how he figured out a way to solve the shipping problem for Australians shipping to the U.S. or something like that, which I've not heard any details on that, so I don't know whether he actually has or not. But I'm not aware of... I mean, unless... There's, I mean, I don't know. Unless you're going to work something out, and this is, I mean, this will go right now, I guess, while Biden's in charge, but it's not gonna, you know, it's probably not going to last. Just like him. But, like, you can get shit shipped from China to the United States very cheaply, like dirt fucking cheap. I assume because we just buy so much of their crap, it's really easy to, you know, for them to afford to, oh yeah, we'll just stuff another container on a ship that's already going there. I assume that that's part of what the deal is. But that's from China to the U.S. And admittedly, it's like, I guess if you're in Australia and you just have the Chinese print your book and then ship it directly from China to the U.S., and maybe that would help. Maybe that would help cut down your ridiculous fucking shipping costs, because to and from, the U.S. and Australia, like directly or whatever, it's a fucking killer. Yeah, it's amazing how expensive shit is to ship, internationally that way. But it's just general international shipping is also a fucking killer. Like almost everybody, who's shipping from the United States to some other country is just getting fucking killed on the shipping. The shipping is just insane. I don't know any way to fix that. Again, by far and away the best fucking thing to do is digital. Now, I suppose maybe if you were to, in each country, or at least in each region of the world or something, if you were to partner with a local printer, and then you could send them the digital files over the internet, and then they print it locally, print on demand or something, which you're not going to be able to control the quality of books, like you'd like to, because you can't inspect the fuckers personally. But if you did that, then at least it would be a shit ton cheaper, probably, because you wouldn't be shipping the book across the ocean. You'd just be shipping it across town, or across the country, but not a country that's as large as the United States. So it should be relatively inexpensive by comparison to like, oh, somebody bought your book that's in France, and you contracted with somebody in France to print the fucker on demand, and then they ship it to that French person, and there it is. So, I mean, but I don't, I haven't looked into the logistics of that. I don't know whether Ethan or anybody else has. Something to think about, I suppose, if nobody's done that yet.
Through, and I started to see the quality of this book. I felt there's no way that...
Unless, of course, you just want to make your international backers eat the fucking cost of shipping. Which, I suppose, if that's what you want to do.
Artist that's produced this, I'm going to screw up their reputation or undermine their work by letting some arsehole out there pirate it. And that was like, I completely backed.
How in the fuck does it screw up anybody's reputation to have something pirated? That doesn't make any sense. It's like the most popular, most profitable movies and things in existence are pirated. Does it destroy Disney's reputation, or whoever's reputation to have their shit pirated? Not at all. What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. She's talking nonsense at this point. I don't know what the hell that's about.
And agreed with every decision of
well,
that. And
yeah, but I mean, Charlie's the point is, like, even if
maybe it's a British thing. I don't know.
If you had a different situation, I still would have promoted your book because it's good. It's not like being digital or deciding that you have a digital tier is a reason why I would turn you away from promoting you, which is what
here we go.
This guy's kind of implying.
And sort of. I mean, I said that, but it's like I didn't really. It's kind of a joke. I was getting near the end of the video, and I just, it's like I just said that. I didn't really believe that. Oh yeah, he definitely didn't promote these people because they're offering. No, I was just that.
He's trying to tell people that if you. Yeah, it's like maybe the reason why Ethan didn't promote Black Tiger as much as he promoted Billy Nunez's book is because there was a digital tier, and that just isn't. I don't even look at that. I just kind of go, okay, and I skip over that. I'm not, it's not something that I encourage or discouraged ordinarily, but now I'm actually encouraging people to go ahead and do. I'm gonna just.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome that he's doing that, but
go ahead and say that. Do a digital tier. If you're a smaller creator, go ahead and do that because people should read your comic.
Yeah, I love people that just look for inconsistencies in life, and then they're like, you see? It's like there are no consistencies. Like from case to case, from campaign to campaign, they're going to shift and change.
What the fuck is he talking about?
They're all going to be the same.
Yeah. All right, Billy Nunez is in the chat too. He just super chatted to say, "I've been working on this book for 3 years. F this guy. Also, I don't like digital, so."
Okay, well, I don't see how long you've been working on it has anything to do with anything that I had to say. Not particularly anyway. Of course, as I said, I've already admitted Ethan had a fair point. Mr. Nunez or whatever achieved what he achieved. He did earn it. He just earned it a different way. And, hats off to him for, managing that. I don't know what the fuck Art was talking about. What is he talking about? Inconsistent? I don't know. I don't know what that I don't know what that was about. Not sure Ethan did either. That's why he just moved on instead of addressing it. And as far as, it's like, F me, it's like, well, whatever. I mean, I can understand, you don't like me criticizing you or your work or whatever. It's like, whatever.
Yeah, all right. Let me watch the rest of this.
Oh, but did he just say, he said the guy said he didn't do digital? Except your campaign does have digital. It's got a sample PDF already assembled. I mean, it's not the whole thing, but it's part of the thing. And I don't know. That seems kind of odd that you're like, I don't do digital, and it's like, but you do. You do, and you obviously can, and it's like, what's the big deal? I don't know. I don't know. And we already established, based on the look of it or whatnot, that probably all of his art is digital? I don't understand. I don't understand the snobbery or whatever there is against allowing people to just, to give you a few bucks to help you fund your campaign and whatnot. Because as Nasser and others have pointed out, it's like every time somebody buys a digital, you're not having to print the fucker. So it's like it's just some extra money essentially. It's because there's no printing cost associated with it. It's essentially all gravy for you. So, it allows me to be able to read the story, and it allows you to pick up some extra bucks, without having to actually give me any to bother with anything physical, for those extra bucks. I mean, it seems like it's a win-win to me. But like I said, it's like Ethan and Art and apparently Mr. Nunez as well are all kind of, they've got some kind of snobbery or whatever that's like, oh, I don't do, digital. It's like, that's they're too good for that, and it's like, okay, if you want to talk yourself out of some extra cash, it's no skin off my nose. Get, so you're not allowed to have a digital copy of the full thing. So on standard, and maybe that's the reason. Maybe even selling digital in as a fucking reader access is enough to make Ethan decide, no, I'm not going to shout you out. And it's like I don't think anybody should allow digital at all, which is not a wise move. And
well, it's not a wise move, and it's not. You just assume that, and then that's.
Well, I didn't really assume it, Ethan. I didn't really assume that was that. In all frankness, it's like what I really assumed was that for whatever reason, this campaign is just not on your radar. I mean, that's really what I suspected. Again, it's kind of a joke. It's just, anyway.
Judgment on it. I'm going to just go out there and say that perhaps Ethan passes over books or campaigns with digital tiers on them, and then I'm going to point out that I think that's unwise. Yeah, I agree with you. That's why I don't.
Well, it's just a joke and a kind of a knock at the fact that you don't like digital, which is an established fact. It's like you're not doing digital. You have, I know you're kind of pretending like you didn't, but you have told people in the past on your streams, on a stream I watched, and I remember being pissed off at you for it. I remember when he said that. I was on whatever stream that was, however long ago it was. I remember thinking, well, thank you, Ethan. Now not only, do I not get a digital copy of your book, but now all these other people that you just told not to do digital, now I'm definitely not going to get a digital out of them either. Thanks.
Don't do that. That isn't something that I do.
Yeah, all of the books I've produced have digital tiers.
I would prefer that Ethan offered digital tiers on his products.
I won't, though. I know people do prefer that. I will not do that.
Well, fair enough. If he doesn't want to, that's up to him.
That's right.
Is it up to him?
Is that your attempt at being a smart ass, Shane? But it would be appreciated.
Yes, it would. If I gave away my work for half price and allowed it to be pirated easily, I'm sure if you appreciate it, I'm not going to do it.
That's right. We would fucking appreciate it. We would appreciate it. We would appreciate it if you would give it to us for free. But no, like I said, it's like I'm willing to admit that Ethan might actually be in some risk of having his shit pirated. Virtually everybody else in CG and mostly all indie comics, in fact, not really at such a risk. Like, he's the only one who really kind of, because of name recognition and because of popularity of his product and whatnot, would really, be at risk for that. But as we've already gone over, and even he pretty much seemed to admit that that's the case, most of the people who would pirate the fucking thing, they weren't going to buy it anyway. So it's not like you're actually out any money. So, I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's fair enough. If he doesn't want to do it, that's fine. That's up to him. It's up to everybody to make their own fucking choice. Unless, I guess, if you're licensing somebody else's product, in which case it's up to whoever owns it to make up their mind as to whether or not you do that. But as far as most of the resistance to the idea, I don't understand. I don't understand why. Because for some of them, like I said, for Ethan perhaps, or for something that's very popular that's licensed, maybe there is a real risk of piracy. Although again, it's not really lost sales, so I don't see why you care that much. But for other people that are probably not looking at even a risk of it, it comes off as snobbery. It comes off as you want to be able to, I'm the fancy artist or whatever. I don't do just the art and the story or whatever. I do a completed book, a completed experience, and I want that to be how you experience my product. I want to control, it's like, I don't know. I'm not big on people, being overly controlling about how you enjoy their shit. It's like, I don't know. I hope that I don't wind up being that way. If I ever actually produce anything for sale, I hope that I'm not like, oh yeah, it's like I'm going to be very controlling about how people enjoy my product. It's like, yeah, you see that? Oh God, no. I'm not gonna go. There's a rant I could go off on, but it's a separate matter, so I won't do that. And it, without wishing to be antagonistic towards them, it also kind of winds up feeling like the reason why you don't want to do it digital, guys, is because you want to do just the physical, not just because of what Ethan said, which I can believe from him, and maybe to a certain extent from other pros too, but still. The further you get from the top, as it were, the more I, am likely to believe that there's another motivation there, and that is money. It's like, that people want to support you, know that they're going to be interested in your product, whatever it is, but you don't want to give them the easy out. You don't want to make them feel like, oh, well, I can help them out and get to read it by backing the digital. It's like you don't want to give people that option, even though it's still money in your pocket. You don't want that. You want no. You need to feel compelled to buy the $25 book that also costs $10 in shipping. Can't help but feel that, from some of these people.
I had a real story at DC with Superman Earth 1. We had to do like a review copy for critics, so they actually did a hard copy black and white printing of the volume 1, not for resale, that they would hand out for book reviewers and stuff. It cost quite a bit of money. It only had 8 color pages in it in the middle. Cost a bit of money. Then I went and did volume 2, and they were like, let's save some money and we'll just hand out a PDF for people to review and give book quotes to and everything. The day it was released, somebody sent me a link to the torrent file. My royalties got hit like nobody's business from 1 to 2. Now, of course, 1 probably sold more.
Okay, so Shane is attempting to suggest that he was financially impacted by piracy. And I can't say definitively that he wasn't, although he admits himself just there that 1 likely sold more than 2. It's like, yeah. But I maintain my position, which apparently is also Ethan's position, that the majority of people who are going to pirate the damn thing in the first place, they were never potential customers. they're only taking it because it's free, and if they actually had to pay for it, they would not have. So, I don't know.
But still, it took a long time before I could even get a royalty on 2, just because DC had chose to save some money and do a digital. Once you do any type of, you hand out a PDF, you can't take it back. You can't control it, really.
Well, yes, and the genie is out of the bottle as far as I'm aware. As far as I know, all the mainstream comics are regularly pirated now anyway. Although, to be fair, as SJW infested as the big two are at this point, are any of the fucking comics they make worth paying for? You know, seems unlikely. I don't know. I don't read the vast majority. It's like I've read, I don't know, I read like a Spider-Man comic one time. I've read some X-Men comics when I was a kid. I've read, not too long ago actually, I read a Superman comic, but it wasn't new. It was from the 90s. But anyway, I don't know. It's just I did actually tried to read some Captain Marvel, recent Captain Marvel, and it's like, oh God, it's just like no, forget it. It's pointless. Just put it back. But like I said, it's like this. I don't know. I mean, well, the whole thing's dying anyway, so I don't guess it matters.
It's subject to a lot of pirating. So
well, it's subject to pirating, and not only that, like I don't know, I'm not sure why people. I guess you want to read it. You just want to read the story, and it doesn't.
Yes, that is precisely why, Ethan. Not, I mean, look, as I already went over, and so but I guess I'll rehash it again. I do want to collect your books because it's your art, because it's you, because you're different, you're a better artist, you've got a more interesting property, etc., etc. You know, Cyberfrog reminds me so much of of cool shit from the 90s, from my childhood. You know, all those cartoons. Anyway, but the majority of CG, or non-CG for that matter, stuff, I don't care. I don't care about collecting it. I don't care about holding it in my hand. It's not. I didn't grow up reading comics all the time. Like I said, I read very few of them growing up, and therefore it's just not. It's not a thing for me, like it is for, I guess, for the rest of you guys. So yeah, for those of us who are just, we don't require or you know, whatever, the tactile sensation. Like we don't get anything special, like, you know, like memories of our childhood or whatever. We don't get that from holding a physical book, which I think it's probably part, or smelling one or whatever. It's like it's probably part of what attracts so many, you know, lifetime comic book readers or whatever to the idea of holding a physical book, is because it's damn, it's hard. But it's you know, it's something that reminds them of their childhood and so on and so forth. It's like you know, probably the smell of a printed book too. I mean, it's, you know, smell is one of the most powerful memory triggers there is. It's funny, you know, there's been TV shows that I happened to watch for the first time when I was eating or drinking something particular, you know, and then like from then on, it's like I eat that same thing again, and I keep on going back to that movie or that TV show, and it's like, oh wow, you know, it's wild. Anyway, oh shit. Anyway, damn it. Anyway, but for people like me who didn't grow up with that, it's like, yeah, you know, I don't have that emotional connection to the physical books, and only for special things like Cyberfrog or whatever am I willing to pay top dollar to get a physical copy. Which, to be clear, probably I'd be buying physical copies of his shit anyway. Like, even if he offered, like, digital tiers that were nice and cheap, I'd probably still opt for the physical tier, although, again, it'd be really nice if, like so many other campaigns, mostly non-CG, some CG, but mostly non-CG, if, oh yeah, you buy the physical, but it comes with the digital, so, it's the best of both worlds. Anyway, but yeah, it's like, for people like me, it's like, yeah, most campaigns, most projects, most comics, it's like, I kind of want, it's like the story sounds interesting, and I want to help the creator, make their book, but I don't want to be paying out the ass for it, and I don't need a physical copy. So, like I said, the win-win from my perspective would seem to be offer a $5 digital tier, and then I could just back that. It's like, if I'm not sufficiently interested to want a physical copy and all I want is just the story, then I've given you $5, I've helped you out a little bit, and I can help out a lot more people at that rate, and and I got something to read. I don't understand what is so difficult to for people to get about that.
Doesn't mean that much to you, but you can't sell it. You know what I mean? Like, this is the whole thing. I don't like charging people for some digital artifact. I know that.
Oh, wait a minute. What? So you really want somebody to be able to resell your product? That's what you're concerned about? You feel bad selling somebody a digital? It's like, why? Why do you... I don't understand. People are willing to pay you money for something that's not physical. It's like, and therefore you don't have to pay to create it. I mean, you did. You created it. Obviously it's time and money and effort and whatnot invested. So I'm not suggesting that the creation of these things is free. But I'm just saying, it's like, you don't have to pay to print the fucking thing. And you don't have to worry about shipping it to them, paying for the shipping, charging for the shipping. You don't have to worry about it getting lost in the mail, about the fucking mail carrier deciding to damage it or destroy it or just fucking lose it. Wait till Amazon's doing all of the delivery service for everybody because the post office went under or got taken over by Amazon or something, and then Amazon is like, oh yeah, it's like, we force our people to work such long hours that they have to pull out your comics from the mail and wipe their ass with them because we won't let them take a bathroom break. Oh, anyway, it's like, yeah, you don't have to worry about any of that if you do it digitally. It's just, you just fucking email it to them or email them a link to Dropbox or Google Drive or whatever the fuck. And it's like, don't feel bad about it. Do you really think that there's no value in just the image? Just the digital image of your artwork? Or or people getting to read your story? I mean, is that how JDA and everybody else who writes books should feel? It's like, oh, I shouldn't be willing to sell people an ebook because, it's not physical. Like, oh, there's value. There's value in just the information, Ethan. What is so difficult to understand about that?
Makes me a caveman, but like it's like with a copy of Cyberfrog, if you read Cyberfrog Blood Honey and don't like it, you can put it on eBay and get your money back pretty quickly.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you own...
Oh, come on. How many people really read the fucking thing and didn't like it? And if they didn't like the story, how could they possibly not like the fucking artwork?
Own something. It's an object that you can sell. Digital, you can't really do that.
Jonathan Hurst in the chat has just...
Actually, you could. Don't they you could somehow do something unique with every single PDF that you sent out so that it's a what are those fucking things called? The digital, what, I don't remember what it's called, but it's making a big deal about that. Cecil made a joke, I made a joke about it on Twitter at some point there. Fucking, this bullshit thing that was, I haven't heard anything about it in the last couple weeks, so I don't know if it was a fad that died out really quick or if it's just something that people stopped talking about even though it's still going on. But it's like, yeah, here's this original digital file. It's like, sure, people can make copies of it, but you own the original file. You know, it's somehow got blockchain or whatever on it so that you know that this copy is the original, and you're the only one who gets to own the original. Not that that really fucking means anything, because, you know, to my mind, you know, that doesn't, you know, make any sense. It's just ridiculous. But admittedly, I guess if you wanted to go to the effort, you could probably do that with every fucking digital copy of your comic you sent out. It's like, yeah, you know, it's like each one has some sort of unique blockchain thing on it, so you know that this copy is yours. It's the one that you bought. It's the one that you own, and you can sell it. You know, I don't know how you'd go about selling that, but I haven't looked into the technology that much.
Just said you don't do that.
What the fuck? Oh, god damn. You fucking kidding me.
Go off the rails every now and then. But
Where the fucking hell were we? Shit. Well, god damn. Is that where we were?
Digital, mostly because they were international and didn't want that record.
To tell people not to do digital thing on you, but I've never heard you say don't do it.
Sarcasm can be really funny. Mixing with such as you guys.
Real quick, do you think sarcasm
what I do.
make up their own mind?
Yeah.
It just doesn't exist because I know how.
For themselves and all this stuff. When in fact, being ComicsGate just means you are thinking, you know, that's not what I'm going to do.
I don't think I've ever heard you say I'm not going to support an artist because their book's digital. I don't know where this guy's getting this from.
Well, like I said,
Bloodhound,
it's just a joke. Where the fuck were we? God
It only
damn.
had 8 color pages in it in the middle.
That is a
Cost
that's
a
really
bit of
shitty.
money. Then I went and did volume 2, and they wrote
Okay.
to the torrent.
Heard that
file.
part.
My
Oh, boy.
royalties got, but still, it was to save some back. You can't control.
Pirating, I want to read the story, and it doesn't mean that much to you, but
Okay,
you
there's
can't sell
approximately
it.
where
You
we're
know what I mean? Like, this is the whole thing. I don't like charging people for some digital artifact. I know that makes me a caveman, but like it's like with a copy of Cyberfrog. If you read Cyberfrog Blood Honey and something, it's an object.
Said you don't do that.
Digital, you
Well-
can't really do that.
Jonathan Hurst in the chat has just said you don't do that.
Okay, there we
Ethan, Billy Tucci offers digital, and you still support him. I don't.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever heard you say I'm not going to support an artist because their book's digital. I don't know where this guy's getting this from.
Yes, yes.
I don't know. I think because
Again, the suggesting that he wasn't, that he wasn't shouting out the Black Tiger campaign because it's like that was a joke. Like, I didn't seriously believe that, oh yeah, Ethan must have turned these people down for any kind of promotion, but I didn't believe that. Of course not. I assumed, I think correctly, that it simply, for whatever reason, escaped his notice. It wasn't on his radar. And I don't, and look, I want to be very clear about this. I don't want to come off as some asshole like, he's definitely had to deal with in the past, who seems to think that he should have time to shout out every goddamn campaign that comes along, or at least everyone that declares itself CG. It's like, I don't think that. I don't think Ethan needs to be on top of it, checking, what am I looking at, CG Tracker or whatever every day, and be like, have I made sure to shout all? No, I don't expect that of him. I'll be very clear about that. I do not fucking expect that of him. Okay, I really don't. So anyway.
I said that I think there's this assumption that when I say I'm going to do something, that everybody else mindlessly follows what I do, and therefore when I say
lot of
I'm
them
not
do.
going to be doing digital because I don't want to get pirated or I don't, that's not what I'm going to do. Everybody else feels like they have to do the same thing. People who don't like ComicsGate think that ComicsGaters are stupid sheep. That is what they do. They need to believe that. In order to rationalize their own prejudice towards a movement that scares them. So they always kind of denigrate ComicsGaters as followers who
Testing. All right, there it's back. Finally, shit. Ah, fucking technical difficulties. All right, so that's back. The fuck were they saying? He was saying something. I had a mic issue. Anyway, I don't think that all the CGers are dumbasses or whatever the fuck it was that they just complained about. But a lot of them do follow in his wake. A lot of them don't have experience with running campaigns before or whatever. And, you can always say that, oh, well, that's part of it. They should launch their own campaigns and do it their own way and maybe fuck up and fail and then try again, another time. But I think most people, it's like they don't want to fucking fail the first time. They want to try to have a successful campaign the first time out. And probably a lot of them mistakenly think that necessarily means trying to follow not just Ethan's example, but the example of anybody who has run a successful campaign. I should think that that's logical to expect people to think that way.
Who don't think for themselves and all this stuff. When in fact, being ComicsGate just means you are thinking for yourself.
Yeah, they think it's a hive mind. I've talked to my, I guess, mainstream friends, and they think it's a hive mind, and they think there is some kind of mandate from on high that gets trickled down to everybody, and it just isn't the case.
Well, I'm certainly not suggesting that, and never have. I'm simply saying that it is an observable fact that a lot of people try to imitate Ethan. Now, you can consider that to be flattery, you consider that to be stupid, you consider that to be smart, you consider that to be whatever the hell you want it to consider it to be, but it is something that happens. It is something that people do. Now, not everybody, there's been a number of campaigns that do not attempt to emulate Ethan. They don't try to have the same price points, they don't try to structure the campaign the same way, but there's quite a number that do. There's quite a number that do try to do it similar to him. Now, yeah, there are plenty. And Black Tiger, I think, is probably one of the ones that's not trying to follow in his footsteps or whatever. They're doing their own thing, their own way. They're doing something that I personally disagree with. It's like they're offering a digital version, but they're making sure that it's tethered to the existence of their company and their website. And it's like, I wouldn't, that keeps me from wanting to support that. From me being interested in their digital offering at all, because it's the kind of digital offering that I don't get to keep. It's like I have to be able to access the internet, and I have to be able specifically to access their website every fucking time I want to look at it. It's not really the same thing.
You remember early on in ComicsGate Evolution where there was talk about trying to organize things that way, and you, Ethan, wisely said no Bill of Rights, no Constitution, none of that stuff, because it should be based on individual. Like, we should all be able to act and run these campaigns the way we see fit. There is no mandate. There is no publishing, rules and regulations. It just doesn't exist. And I think, who said it? It's like, they said, like, ComicsGate is punk rock. I mean, we're just making this shit up. We're just doing stuff. And
wasn't that what's his name? The little Irish fella. Shit, why can't I remember his name? He used to hang out with Winger, and now Winger's gone, so I don't know what the hell he does now. Do get the occasional update on his campaign, but still waiting. Man. Anyway. But I think it was him, though. Didn't he say we're punk? Didn't he say, CG was punk rock or something? Or, well, I don't know. He said it was, what is it, punk or something? There's some weird Irish pronunciation or spelling or whatever of punk.
I'll tell you, man, it feels great. It feels great not to have those corporate overlords. Like, anything we dream, we can do.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me see what else is here.
And also, more to the point, even if you're not going to offer it yourself, it's like, maybe stop telling other people that they definitely shouldn't offer digital.
Shit, I don't do that.
Let them decide. Okay. To be fair, I don't recall him having done that recently. Not for some time, in fact. But he acts like he's never done that. He did. As I've already stated, he abso-fucking-lutely did. I remember being there watching his fucking stream when he was telling people, and again, he may have only been addressing whoever it was who was with him on stream at the time. Don't do this. He was, he basically told them, don't do digital at all. And it's like, thank you, Ethan. It's like, I remember specifically being very pissed off about that. It's like, thanks. Now I don't get to, I'm not going to get any digital tiers from these guys either. Whoever it was at the time, like I said. But it may have only been comic book pros like Malin and whoever the fuck else. So, maybe it was only meant for their consumption. But I think the chat and all the potential campaigners out there who've since launched their own, I think they all kind of took that to heart. I think, most of them. I think most of them took it to heart, because that is a fairly common thread among CG campaigns, is that there's usually not a digital tier. Now, sometimes there is. I've been very pleased to find digital tiers on certain CG projects, but a lot of CG projects do not have digital tiers. And even when they do, they make the mistake of having it be like, and this is something else. Oh, by the way, this is something that he said. This is another thing that you said, Ethan. At one point, you did actually counsel somebody, I don't remember who it was, that they shouldn't do that. If you were them or whatever, that's what you said. You said it. You phrased it something like, if you were them, you wouldn't do digital at all. But if you were going to do digital, you'd make it a separate tier that's the same price as the print book. And I remember being extremely put out by that suggestion, and I've seen more than a few campaigns embrace that exactly. They decide, yeah, we'll have a $25 tier digital. And obviously they don't include the digital on the print tier, that's $25 plus 10 shipping. But that's fucking ridiculous. It's like $25 goddamn dollars for the digital tier. Are you shitting me? But he said that, which for somebody who's just saying he doesn't feel good about selling something that's digital, it's like, I remember him fucking telling somebody. I think it was somebody specific, but still, it's like, that's going to be taken up by other people. Whether you meant for it to be or not, they're going to listen to you, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Let's make sure that nobody buys our digital tier by pricing it out of the fucking market. Anyway, but yeah. On their own. Let them decide based on what their customers have to say.
Well, I'm not going to let them.
Well, let me back up. Like, even when he says let them make up their own mind, even if you said it, they still get to make up their own mind. It's not.
Well, that is true. They have agency. It is up to them to make the decision. But, again, it's disingenuous to try to pretend like people don't tend to follow in Ethan's wake. They again, many campaigns don't, but many more do, as near as I can tell, try to stick to a pattern that he has kind of established. It's a pattern that works for him, and they may mistakenly think that it definitely will work for them too, because, it worked for Ethan, why won't it work for us? It's like, because you're not Ethan. Because you're not Ethan. None of you are. Not even you former pros. You're not Ethan. None of you are Ethan. So his pattern, his pricing structure, etc., it's not going to work necessarily for everybody else. Now, and who knows? I don't know what, it's like, I don't know. I don't know what the difference would be. I think it'd be interesting to find out. It's like, if instead of doing, again, Shane does exactly what Ethan does. He does not offer digital. He prices his book at $25 for just the basic print package. I believe he does $10 in shipping, so it's $35 out the door minimum. He does all that just like Ethan does. I think it would have been interesting to see if, instead of that, what if he had done 25 but it's only 5 in shipping? What if he'd done 10 in shipping but the cost of the book was only 20? So it was 30 out the door instead of 35. I would have been interested to see the results of that. Now, again, it's his business, so he needs to make whatever choices he feels are going to be the correct ones for him. But I'm just saying, I'm curious, hypothetically, I would be interested to know if somebody who is getting success, not on the same level as Ethan, but success nonetheless, doing things more or less exactly the same way that he does them, what if somebody else did it differently? What if they offered digital? Or what if they offered the print only, but they did it at a better price point? It's not like it's impossible. I mean, I'm sorry, but if some, indie person who wasn't necessarily ever a pro or whatever can manage to do a book for $10 or $15 for the print version, it's like, why is that impossible for bigger named CG creators who used to be, pros in the industry? I just, in one of the big two, it's like, of course they can. They just don't want to. And that's not me specifically alleging, well, it's all a grift. It's like, I'm not one of those people who just assumes that, cynically, that everything is a grift. But, like I said, it's like, they are following Ethan's pattern. I'd be interested to know whether, and the only ones that I'm aware of that don't follow his pattern are people who, don't have the name recognition. Like basically all of his friends who were the pros who used to work for the big two or whatever, basically all of them follow his pattern, and admittedly it works for them. But the only people that seem to try a different to try variations on pricing structure and whatnot, or offering digital or whatever, the only people who do that are the smaller creators, the people who weren't big names in the industry before they were CG. So, pardon me. That's like I said, I really would be interested to know how a Shane Dave, not necessarily Shane, but it doesn't have to be anybody in particular, but how somebody like Shane Davis, who does have the name recognition, who is was in the big two or whatever, it's like, and who has had success with things the way that Ethan does them, if they changed it up, if they did digital, or if they did a lower price point or whatever, it's like, would they get about the same number of backers, and because of the lower price point they actually make less money? Or might the lower price point entice more backers to support them, and they would actually wind up getting more money in the long run? I don't know. I'm curious, though. If I were them, I would be curious, too. I don't know. I don't know that any of them are going to break with it, though, because I think that all of them are basically sticking with that pattern. Because it works for Ethan, and it works for them, at least the top-tier CG creators it works for. Of course, the lower-tier CG creators, most of them seem to be trying to make that pattern work for them, and it mostly doesn't, or at least it doesn't to the same extent.
Right. No, they don't. They don't.
For them. Like, that's just so weird to say. Like,
I roll over everybody with an iron fist. I'm like, let them make up their own mind. No. It's like, no, I'm not. People make these assumptions, and this, I guess...
And to be clear, I wasn't actually making these assumptions that he's claiming that I'm making.
This is what I do. It gets me into trouble. It's like, now you can clip that. Let them make their own minds up. No, I'm not going to let them make their own minds up. They have to do what I say at all times. That's my brand of sarcasm. This is absolute craziness. I don't say things like that. I don't tell people what to do.
Now, again, not on a regular basis, but you actually have, in singular instances at the very least, you have told people what to do. You have advised individual people, don't do that. You have advised everybody seemingly on the stream with you, that, I don't think we should do that. Or I think we should do this. You have made those statements. Maybe he didn't intend to. Maybe he didn't realize that he was saying something, and to other people's ears it sounds like, a sort of a ruling. Now, to be clear, I agree, he doesn't have control over these other people. It's not as though they couldn't make up their own fucking minds. But he does have, I get it's like the quote from Game of Thrones or whatever. It's like Ethan doesn't have power, but he does have influence. It's like he can't stop people from doing whatever the hell they want, and I don't believe that he wants to, even if he could. But he influences people's decision making. I mean, pick whatever euphemism or whatever you want. It's like, but it's like I said, it's not an enviable position to be where he is. But, and I'm not one of those people trying to say that, oh well, you have a responsibility. No, not saying that. I don't expect anything from him specifically, but I think he should be aware that people do, a lot of them in CG, place him on a kind of a pedestal. As much as they all shit talk him at times, they still look up to him. He is still the whatever. He's still the top dog or whatever. He's I don't know. I don't know what but it's like people still are going to treat his suggestions, his statements, whatever, with more weight than they will anybody else's. That is still going to happen. And like I said, I would think that he would have already known that, but sometimes he acts like he doesn't.
But also...
can I ask a question real quick? Do you think sarcasm is just a dying art form? Do you think there's just people that don't clearly understand sarcasm at all?
I think
Yes.
there's a generation gap thing going on.
Yes.
That's starting to happen.
I 100% agree there. I think as well that a lot of the reasons why CG is growing over here in the UK is because we have a long history of sarcasm, and a lot of the creators that we're mixing with, such as you guys on the panel, who appreciate sarcasm. I think that that's another reason why there's that is happening, because we're sick and tired of the fact that people, I know I am, they don't understand sarcasm anymore. Like, what the hell is all that about? It's ridiculous. Everyone's offended by everything now, and I think sarcasm's just gone.
Well, I'm not actually offended by a whole lot. I don't know if she's talking about me or not. I assume that it's at least possible, since they have been discussing me and looking at my video. But I'm not particularly offended by anything. Like I said, it's like, yeah, I admittedly I sounded kind of pissy towards the end of the video, and I forgot. I don't think I realized even when I was making the video that I sounded that pissy. But so sorry, I sounded so pissy. But it's like I do appreciate sarcasm, at least to a certain extent. I'm aware that Ethan uses it quite a bit. So I don't, I've been over all this just now. It's like I don't believe that he actually controls people, but like I said, he has influence. He does influence how things go. And again, I'm not suggesting that he needs to do any particular thing or not do any particular thing, to suit me or to suit anybody else or whatever. I'm not suggesting he has some sort of responsibility or duty or any of that horseshit. It's like, he is free. He's free to do whatever the fuck he wants, but but at least don't pretend like your actions don't have any influence over other people's actions or your statements or whatever, because they do. It's like, just acknowledge reality there.
And it is, sarcasm can be really funny. And yet people just don't get it. It's crazy.
Now, in Ethan's defense, though, it's very common for somebody to look to their left, look to their right, and notice successes and failures in campaigns and maybe mimic those formulas. So I get, there's the phrase leading by...
Well, I said some of that. Or something, to a similar effect.
Example, I guess, works here. Like, I get what he's just trying to pin something on you, but I've never heard you say...
No, I'm not. I'm not trying to pin something on Ethan.
don't do, not to tell people not to do digital. I would advise.
I have heard him say that. He has on at least one specific occasion. I know for goddamn sure because I remember being so fucking pissed off at him for doing it. He did tell people, don't do digital. He did say that. You know, he's not the only one. Other people have said that too. But again, other people, when they say that, like Liam Gray, for instance, they don't have the same kind of influence on others. And maybe Ethan did not consider that anybody other than who he was talking to on the live stream, the people that were on the live stream with him, or maybe only the person that he had just been discussing it with, whoever that was, John Malin, whoever, I don't know. But whoever the fuck it was, it's like maybe he only meant that for that one person, or at least for only the 3 or 4 or 5 people or whatever that were on there with him. I don't know. But let's not pretend like him saying that wouldn't have an influence on the thinking of everybody in CG who heard it. Because of course it would.
People on my own, life stories with digital, that it can have a negative effect.
Yeah. I remember early on Malin shows when he...
And statements from Shane Davis and other, pros and whatnot, to the effect, of... maybe you should think twice before doing digital or whatever. Something, whatever the statement is that they make that sounds kind of negative against the idea of the digital tier or whatever, that will have an influence as well. It will not have as big an influence as Ethan's statements to such an effect, but it will have an influence.
Do like the CG Presents? He would always go like, "Oh, digital." He would like scoff at it when he'd scroll down and stuff. But I went on there a number of times, and for the Lost Pages, I did a digital copy. And out of the 500 backers, we had like 13 of them pick up the digital, mostly because they were international and didn't want that shipping charge. So I think it's great for people that are overseas,
Yeah, for children in Africa with monocles.
Yeah,
I mean, it's easy to get it. I mean, we put monocles on them just so they could read digital. You gotta take one step at a time. He's getting ready to go digital. He just has to get monocles on them first.
Jason Smoot says you got to give the people what they want, and the people want to see that Project Rex trailer. Hold on, we will get to it.
They do.
Let me explain that. First of all, Shane, you finished the pencils on Starlight Cats.
It's actually getting ready to go to lettering. Yanti's about 3 pages behind me, so yeah.
And obviously, we will not be watching the trailer, but I did watch his trailer earlier, and looks pretty fucking cool.
Starlight Cats is done, and tonight we are going to premiere the trailer for the next project. Okay, we'll hold on.
Hold on.
Let's wait until there are a few more people in here. I'd like to see 12 or 1,300 people watching in order for us to get to that trailer. So that's what we'll wait for. In the meantime, by the way, I'm showing because it's on the screen. Black Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Go back it. Like, this guy's not saying this stuff. The guy who's made this video prefers Black Tiger, Hidden Dragon to Dame Gang, and that's cool. You can feel that way. I feel the other way. I prefer Dame Gang. I gotta say, I look at a lot of campaigns, and at this point, I only promote the ones that I think actually look professional, like really very professional. And Billy Nunez, look.
Well, I hope since he just told you to back Black Tiger, that is an indication that he does consider that it looks professional. Because I think that if he's saying the other one looks professional and this one doesn't, I think that's kind of shitty. But okay, whatever. It's like. But anyway, like I said, he just said to back it, so hopefully that's an indication that it simply wasn't on his radar, and he does consider it worthy. And yes, admittedly, it is a matter of personal opinion. I definitely prefer this to Dame Gang. Ethan says he prefers the other. I will give you this. I will say this about the relative merits of the two. I will say that Black Tiger, although I would still say that it's I would still say that it looks what's the appropriate term? Unique, whatever special, extra cool. I don't know, however you want to define it. But I will say this. It also looks like many other. I mean, not exactly, but in some general sort of sense, it looks not too different from the concept and whatnot. It's like it doesn't seem terribly different from many others. The style of the art, I'm not evaluating the quality, but the style of the art or whatever, it's like perhaps has been seen many times before on many different campaigns, and there being a supernatural this or that and so on and so forth. It's like all of that admittedly is something that's been done before in some form or fashion. And the Dame Gang thing, I will give you this, it definitely seems different. Like, I don't recall having seen any giantess CG books before. I think I've seen one or two projects on Kickstarter that included like a giant or giantess or whatever character, but it was just one. It wasn't like that's the whole theme of the book. It's like they were kind of like an extra in somebody else's book or something. So it's definitely unique, and maybe that's part of the appeal to Ethan, is that he likes things that are different, and here's something that's definitely different. So
his book, of course, big boobies, big booties, but it looks like something that Image would publish, or DC, and I mean that in a good way, not in a negative, snarky. It looks like SJW shit. No, it looks like Image and DC in their prime, professional. It looks pretty.
Well, I didn't see anything to make me think that it was SJW infested.
Good. I think he draws like in this.
Generally speaking, these days, it does seem like if you include women who actually look like women, they have breasts, they have curves. That's usually an indication that this is not an SJW book, because at this point the SJWs have really they want to kill everything that might be for the male gaze. And I think I did back something digital only, but I mean, I wasn't going to spend a whole ton of money on it or nothing, but I think I saw something on Kickstarter that was, at first I wasn't going to back it because I read a little bit about what it was supposed to be, and it was something about lesbians, and I was like, oh, that sounds just woke, doesn't it? And then I looked at the artwork, and it's like, oh, the purpose of lesbians is not representation. The purpose of lesbians is to have women, hot women, making out with each other. It's like, okay. It's like, I can get behind that.
He's got a bunch of different styles I've seen, but in this style, he draws like a little like Ed McGuinness, kind of. It's really good. All right, let me finish this video here.
Them and whatnot, instead of you just deciding for them. But like I said, there's the difference between working hard for it and actually earning it, and just getting it given to you.
Shit, dude, I mean, it's just so degrading. Look, they both did comic books. They both worked really, really hard on comic books. It's like promotion, is something that you need to seek out. You could have the greatest looking comic book in the world, and if you do not promote it, or people do not know about it, it's not going to sell. Nobody's ever going to see it. So having done the work, the other half of the job as an indie creator is to get out there and let people know about it. And if you aren't doing that, you aren't doing the work. You need to get out there, and you need to find a way. And we all had to do it. I had to do it. I had to go on bigger platforms too. We all got to find a way to get these projects seen. If you can do something that's so impressive that I have to show people, which is what happened with Dame Gang. By the way, he got my attention by doing a beautiful Cyberfrog drawing, and I was just like, this is really, a lot of people do Cyberfrog drawings for me. A lot of people do. but I saw this one and it was just extraordinary, and I had to go look at the campaign associated with it. By the way, he didn't send me a link to the campaign. I clicked on his name and saw that there was a campaign that he was running in his Twitter byline. I took the initiative to find it myself. All right, so anyways.
Well, also it comes down to personal taste. It's like you might just like the way the one looks better than the other, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
yes, and admittedly, I think we've established that yes, I prefer the one, and Ethan prefers the other. And as I said in the previous video, admittedly, Ethan made this point in his comments. Yes, I wasn't looking at it from that perspective, but yes, I take his point. The Dame Gang campaign, the dude running it, whatever. I don't know if it's just one guy or if it's a group or whatever. I guess it's a group. There were several people mentioned, weren't there? That are working on it. But anyway, it's like the Dame Gang people. They did earn it. I admit that I was wrong. To say that they did not earn it. They did earn it. They just earned it in a different way. They may, like I said, when I initially made the video, don't believe I was aware that they had slipped Ethan a super cool frog drawing. So they earned his endorsement, and that got them a lot of backers. So, again, fair enough. He's correct. They earned it. They earned it differently, but they earned it. So I admit that. I was wrong to say that. I'm not going to take the video down, because I don't believe in doing that. As I just said this, didn't I? I said this not too many videos ago. I said, yeah, opinions change. You're wrong about things. It's like, but you don't try to hide that. Let me hide that I was mistaken about something. No, not going to do that. So anyway, like I said, so they earned it, and they are still earning it. They're still raking in the dough, as far as I know. So good for them. It's disappointing that the artist apparently doesn't do digital, and apparently he's not even going to consider a digital tier, which is really, like I said, it's kind of weird that he's offering a PDF preview of part of the comic, but you won't do it. Whatever. Whatever.
I have people on my show, and sometimes it's like, well, it just doesn't look that interesting to me, so I'm not going to have it on. So sometimes it just comes down to personal taste. It comes down to what you like, what you don't like, and what you're comfortable with endorsing and what you're not. So, it's not always just like, I think people that use this fair word, like it's fair, it's not fair, it's equitable, I think it's ridiculous, because nothing's fair, nothing's equitable.
And also, I think
the creature from the pitch black lagoon.
I don't think Ethan could win this one, because if he only promoted people that were, as he puts it, in his inner circle, he gets people that attack him saying you only promote your friends. And then if he promotes somebody that he's just found online that he likes, he gets told off because he's promoting a book that isn't worth it. But surely he's allowed to promote what he wants when he wants it, whoever they are. And if they screw up, then they don't get the opportunity again. And that's that simple. And that's how I see it.
Well, I will agree with that. It is entirely up to Ethan who he promotes and who he doesn't promote. And it's also entirely up to him to decide what the criteria are for that. But like I said, as far as what I said in my video, it's like that little bit about how maybe pass him over because of it, that was a joke. Like I didn't seriously expect that, he specifically didn't shout them out because they had a digital tier. I didn't actually think that. But he may have been brief, but he did shout them out on this stream. So there's that.
And bad news, I'm not going to intentionally promote shit. If I don't like it, I'm not going to promote it. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to try to sell it to this audience. By the way, it doesn't always work.
And I will offer a disclaimer for Ethan, since he didn't actually offer one there. He probably considers that it's that it doesn't need to be stated, but let's be honest, it's easy for miscommunications to arise, and for so I will offer this disclaimer for him, which is when he says he's not going to intentionally promote something that he considers to be shit. I don't think that it occurred to him in that moment to specify that doesn't mean that because he hasn't shouted your campaign out that means he saw it and he considers it shit. It's like it's like I consider truthfully, I really did suspect that the only reason why he didn't say anything, at least not that I knew of course I didn't know for certain that he hadn't said anything about Black Tiger, but as far as I was aware, he hadn't. I mean, there's too many fucking live streams that he does for me to be sure that he never ever said anything. But I'd not heard. I didn't personally witness it, and I'd not heard of him, doing anything to shout them out. So I was suspecting that he didn't. But anyway. But I expected that the reason for him not shouting out Black Tiger was probably because it simply wasn't on his radar. And again, as I believe I already stated, I don't expect him to be going through every fucking campaign and trying to shout out all of them, or even just all the ones that he thinks are good. I mean, that'd be, it wouldn't be a full-time job, but it'd certainly be, it'd be something that he'd have to do quite a bit, of work. And it's like, you can't expect that of him. I mean, he's a busy person. Ethan's busy. He's got shit to do. So I don't expect that from him. I'm not one of these people who's, demanding that, you need to support everybody equally, or you need to make time for all these smaller creative. No, I'm not making any specific demands of Ethan at all. Although I am going to insist that because he told me that I was getting that trading card, that I'm actually going to get that trading card. He said I was going to get it, so I will hold him responsible if... And I really would have appreciated that he read my fucking $5 super chat. It's the first time I'd ever spent as much as I'd spent I'd done like a $2 super chat to him and a couple of $2 super chats to some other people or whatever. It was the first time I actually bothered to lash out a whole $5 for a super chat, and he didn't read the fucking thing. I was like, God damn it. Anyway,
I've had books on here that I've tried to sell. They have not moved an inch. It's like dragging an anvil. Like, please back this book, and it doesn't. Nobody backs it for whatever reason. That's
I don't remember those specifically, but I'm sure he's
Cecil's in the dark, by the way. Cecil, how are you?
I'm in the pool.
He's in the pool.
Oh,
I'm in the pool.
You still tripping?
Yeah. I thought I was over it, but then you get that, your teeth start chattering and shit. I had to get in the water.
You'll never be over it.
Cato the Younger says you should only promote people who super chat you. That's true too. Well, no, I mean, if you send me a
I'll remember that when I've got something to promote, I will super chat Ethan and be like, hey, promote my book.
super chat with your campaign on it, I'll definitely read your super chat. Cecil, you doing okay? Do I have to worry about you?
No, I've done this before.
Very experienced.
All right, let me look at a couple.
You're in a pool. Oh, this is your pool, right? That's why there's no lights.
Full of his own fluids.
You're in a
Oh, God.
As he
dark
actually
pool.
wet himself. Is that what this is?
I'm in a cesspool.
A pool of his own fluids. All right, hold on a second. Let me show a couple of things.
I was
First
at my
of
parents'
all,
house on the beach down in Florida, and should I put the lights on in the pool? I just think the neighbors are going to see a dude in a mask in the pool and fucking call the police. This is how I get shot.
That's
I'm
what
not
they're
to die of something. That's not a
Up to
bad-
84.30.
gonna do.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Still
it happened.
44 days left. They're going to do
Cybertruck
pretty
Action
good.
Figures just 8 sign-ups away. Let me see. 4 sign-ups away from hitting 3,000 addresses collected, which would be phenomenal. Snowman: A Cold Day in Hell by Matt Martin is nearing. It's getting closer and closer to 100,000. Trent Kanuga's Creed is going to print, so that's going to be shipping soon. If you haven't backed Creed yet.
Okay, well, I think that's essentially it. This has been a much longer thing, as usual. As usual, when I start doing the fucking EFAP of something, it's the first time I've ever done it of somebody doing it of me. It's Elasi-ception or something. So I have unexpectedly attracted the attention of the big fish in the CG pool, and I'm not talking about Cecil. I don't know whether that'd be better or worse if I. But anyway, so I have addressed this issue. I don't know whether Ethan will have further issues with me in the future. Who knows? It's been an interesting day. I gotta say, because like I said, I never would have even expected him to fucking watch one of my videos, let alone leave a string of comments and then fucking do a live stream that at least partially focused on one of my videos. But I did expect that it would piss somebody off. I mean, I suspected that some of my own own viewers, whoever would like not creators necessarily, but like just supporters or whatever of CG would come across it and be like, it's like you're an asshole because, and then give whatever reason. I was kind of expecting some flack, some pushback or whatever when I did that video, because it's like, yeah, I'm kind of pitting the two campaigns against each other. It's like, should I really do that? Why the hell not? So I don't know. So this is unexpected to say the least. All right. Well, good night, everybody. I mean, good afternoon. Whatever. This is probably gonna. I'll probably put this up tomorrow afternoon sometime. All right. Until the next one.